everyone, it's Karen. I'm back to share my March pages for my Journal of Stitchery, joining in with Sarah and Rachel with Roxy Creations and their mom. And this is just the front of my front cover, and I'll just page through. This is one of the sample stitch pages. I did the other sample stitches. I used them all on my front cover. This was January, our bunny. Can't remember what the other prompts were, but a bunny. February was a neutral background with a flower, and I'm doing plan on doing one page, and if I have time I'm doing two. So February was good. I did manage to get two done. My book is about a 5x7, the pages, and I'm adding a bit of lace on the sides and at the bottom because that was the look I wanted to go for. And these are both of these are those beaded buttons that I like to make and use in my stitching, and there is a tutorial up in that as well. I'll try and remember to link it. And these are the pages for March. We were to use recycled or reclaimed or vintage fabrics in the background and butterfly, or in my case I went with butterflies. This is reclaimed fabric here, and I added some French knots on it to put on the side of the page there. This is reclaimed fabric, this piece up here, this piece here, this piece here. They're all from thrifting, and they're all from garments or curtains or the like of that. This particular image behind here that I stitched on is a napkin, and I have done a tutorial on that showing how I do that, and that's also, you can find that on my channel. And with this one I used wools this time. I had some beautiful new wools that I had purchased, and there's 3 strands in the wools, and I separated them out and used one strand, and I love the texture that gives. So this flower here has got the wools used in it, and then some embroidery floss, and the green leaves are all done with one strand of the wool thread, and the rest is done with just embroidery flosses. I did a lot of just over stitching on the 3 roses, and then French knots in different colors, and then I added 5 different, these are tatted butterflies on here in different colors of pink, and I just stamped spring and added a little flower and a bead accent on that. I did some beading on the butterflies as well. And then I added, this is a vintage piece of lace, and these are just some reclaimed laces from some garments, and this is actually a piece of new lace that I added at the top there. And there's lots of stitching in there. There's straight stitches, French knots, lazy daisy stitch, colonial knots, and lots of the crazy stitching like Rachel calls it. So I did that to fill in certain parts in the roses. And then this side, this is a piece of a curtain fabric. This was off of a little girl's dress. The linen piece in the background, that's just mostly covered, was a dresser scarf. This is that same piece of vintage lace on the bottom of here. This is a piece of lace here on this side. Is just off of I think it was off the edge of a pillowcase. And the piece of fabric that I stitched over was also just a piece of fabric that I had maybe an 8x10 square of it from that I purchased from a lady that does thrifting and then cuts it up into pieces. And then the butterflies are also made from a thrifted piece of fabric. It's actually a lightweight upholstery fabric, and I cut it out in the shapes of the butterflies that I wanted, and then I did sequins and beads on the outside and bullion stitches around the top of this one, and then I did some pistol stitches in the bottom here, and then added the beading. And then these 4 little ones are all different. They're long stitches, French knots, and then beading. And this one is sort of a satin stitch with sequins and beading. This one satin stitch, and then also some pistol stitches and some beading, and this one the same. And then in the background I use the wool again for the leaves, and just embroidery floss for all the French knots. And I'm telling you, there's got to be at least 200 French knots just on this page. It was a lilac sort of bush in the background, and then the roses, and I just took a lot of knots. And they're French and colonial. I kind of get tired of doing one, and then I'll do another for a while and then go back. This is just a chain stitch along the edges here with some bigger French knots done in a strand of the wool. And then I use the wool for the leaves, and so I brought down the stems here under the rows here that gathered together, and I put this big pink bow on here. And then this is actually I found this piece of lace in my stash, and I have no idea where it's from, but it was just this small little piece. So I'm gathering that there's a lady I purchased stuff from that's a thrifter, and then she gets little bits of things, and she often will put them in a bag and sell the whole bag. And so I'm pretty sure that's probably where that piece came from. So a lot of reclaimed and recycled fabrics, and then my own stitching. So those are my pages. They're all joined together with that binding that I was doing with the tabs. And so this page joined on with 3 tabs. There's 2 tabs here now to attach next week's page. And someone had asked me how I attach the pages so that you don't see like I attached this one, and this one was already attached. And I just use a very, very fine thread, and I do like a hidden stitch, or I stitch along an edge here, and I go really tiny stitch on top and then catch some fabric underneath and go along. And so you don't see any of the attachment stitches at all. And that's how I've done all the pages. And then this one's ready to have the page attached for April. And then there'll be, hopefully if I have time, there will be the next page is ready to go. It has 3 tabs on it, and they alternate between 3 and 2. So this page would get attached on, it'll get flipped over this way when it's ready, and these tabs will come up and attach it in place, and these 3 tabs will be ready for the next page. And on it goes. Those are my 2 pages for March, and I had a lot of fun doing them. They were a lot of stitches, but it keeps my hands busy and it keeps my mind busy. So thanks for stopping in and having a look at what I'm doing with joining in this group. Thank you, Rachel and Sarah, and your mom for all their inspiration, and the other ladies in the group for all the posts on Facebook and on Instagram. And I will post in Facebook and on Instagram as well, my March pages. And I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.